I never would have believed that a regular day, just another ordinary, crisp April morning in 2025, could unravel into such complete chaos. But that's exactly what happened. The day began like countless others. I was groggy, barely awake, descending the stairs with the clumsiness of someone who hadn't quite shaken off sleep. My foot caught the edge of a step, and before I could even process what was happening, my body pitched forward. I reached out for the railing in a desperate attempt to steady myself, but my arm twisted in an unnatural way. Pain exploded through me as I tumbled the rest of the way down, crashing the floor in a twisted heap. My arm was swollen, useless, and throbbing, an injury that should have been the worst part of my day. But that pain turned out to be the least of it. Clutching my broken arm, I dragged myself to the couch, expecting my wife Jade to rush to me, concern etched on her face. But she didn't. She barely glanced in my direction before disappearing into the kitchen with our daughter, Zoe. Confused and hurting, I sat there, trying to focus on my breathing and manage the pain. Then I heard them talking. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but their voices carried easily through the thin walls, hushed, hurried, and sharp. "He's been drinking again," Jade whispered, her voice cold, calculated. "It'll make the divorce easier." Zoe replied softly. I couldn't breathe. The words struck me like a blow to the chest. They were conspiring against me, plotting to paint me as some unstable drunk to justify abandoning me. I was stunned, betrayed, and suddenly seeing my life with fresh, painful clarity. Lying there with my arm aching, I began to replay everything from the last few months. Jade had been slipping away from me for a while now. Her warmth had evaporated, replaced by distance and indifference. She no longer asked how my day was, no longer touched me in passing, or met my eyes with affection. And Zoe, my little girl who once curled up beside me after nightmares, had grown cold and distant too. I'd chalked it up to her being a teenager, but now I realized it was something deeper, something more final. I had poured myself into that family, working overtime to pay for Zoe's college, cooking dinners Jade used to love, fixing every broken thing in the house. And it still hadn't been enough. The depth of the betrayal ate away at me, but I had no idea just how deep it went until I could move again. Days later, when the pain subsided enough, I began going through our financial records. Jade had always handled our money, and I trusted her without question. I thought I was being a good husband, but I was just being blind. In a drawer buried beneath piles of envelopes, I found the truth. Statement after statement revealed money siphoned from our joint accounts. Hundreds, then thousands of dollars quietly funneled away. And beneath it all, a manila folder containing already drafted divorce papers. As I read through them, my hands trembled. She accused me of alcoholism, of erratic, dangerous behavior, all fabricated, all designed to make me look like the villain. The woman I had shared 20 years with was preparing to destroy me with lies. But I didn't break. I adapted. I pretended to be helpless, used my injury as cover while I started collecting evidence. I moved silently through the house, taking pictures of bank statements, watching Jade's phone when she wasn't looking, and saving texts like the one she sent her sister about finally being free. Guessing her email password was easy. After 2 decades, I knew her well enough. And in those inboxes, I found her plans laid bare. Emails to Zoe mapping out every move of their betrayal. It was gut-wrenching, but it also gave me purpose. I hired a lawyer, Carla, sharp-eyed, tough as nails, and completely unfazed by Jade's web of lies. We built a case brick by brick. Financial records, screenshots, audio clips, timelines, and character witnesses. I hadn't had a drink in years, and I could prove it. Carla helped me freeze our remaining accounts to stop Jade from bleeding me dry. For the first time since that fall down the stairs, I felt power again. I felt like I was fighting back. The showdown came one Friday evening. I invited them over for dinner, claiming I wanted to talk and clear the air. I cooked Jade's favorite, grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, and poured wine I never intended to drink. My hands were shaking, not with fear, but anticipation. They arrived, Jade wearing a fake smile, Zoe looking like she didn't want to be there at all. We sat at the table, the silence between us thick with tension. Then I laid it all out. Every piece of evidence, every document, every lie exposed. I played the recordings, showed them the statements, slid over the divorce papers I'd found. Jade went pale. Her mouth opened, then shut again. Zoe stared at her lap, silent tears welling in her eyes. Jade finally whispered, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I didn't yell. I didn't need to. My voice was steady. "You're done. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm taking everything you tried to steal." She begged me to reconsider, her composure cracking. But it was over. The woman I loved was gone, and the daughter I'd cherished had chosen to turn against me. There was no undoing that. The divorce moved quickly. Jade packed her things and left, moving in with her sister. Her affair with Nelson, a smug co-worker I'd met once, ended quickly when he realized she had nothing left to offer. Zoe, still reeling, dropped out of college to find herself. I felt a flicker of pity. She was just 19, a puppet in Jade's hands. But it wasn't enough to erase what she'd done. With them gone, I started healing. My arm recovered, and slowly, so did my spirit. I reconnected with old friends I neglected during my marriage, men and women who reminded me I wasn't alone. We shared beers and long talks, and for the first time in years, I remembered who I was. I began running again. The sound of my feet on the pavement became a kind of therapy, a rhythm that pushed Jade's voice further from my mind. Eventually, I dipped my toes into dating. Awkward coffee dates, nervous dinners. Learning to trust again, little by little. Looking back, I see now that falling down the stairs wasn't just an accident. It was a wake-up call. I had tied my worth to people who didn't value me. Losing them forced me to rediscover myself. I sold the house, its walls too heavy with betrayal, and moved into a small apartment overlooking the city. Every morning, I wake to sunlight streaming through my window, and it feels like a quiet promise that I'm free. I'm still rebuilding, still healing. But this time, I'm doing it for me, and that's enough.